Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. For just joining us, my name is Jane Wambui. We are glad to have you on board. Now, today is Thursday. It's all about entertainment, but we want to put entertainment aside for just a quick minute and focus on matters concerning the youth. And we are about to have a discussion in regards to that. Remember, here in Kenya since Tuesday, which was the 6th of August, it has been the National Youth Week, which will go up until the 11th, of course, culminating to the International Youth Day, which will be on the 12th of August, all about focusing on matters concerning the youth, especially here in Kenya, when we say, the youth are the ones who are mostly affected when it comes to issues to do with unemployment, extremism, political extremism for that matter, social pressure, political pressure, pressures from all angles. But what are we doing to try and alleviate this problem and make a more conducive environment for the youth, considering also they are the biggest percentage of our population here in Kenya? That is a discussion that we are about to have, and I have with me four fantastic guests. I'll just introduce them to you. To the extreme left, we have Mr. Enoch Amudavi, who is the Deputy Director General at the National Youth Service. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you this morning.
Thank you.
Next to him, we have Mr. Charles Mureithi Mwaneki, who is the Deputy Director in charge of Youth Partnerships and Stakeholder Engagement. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Next to him, we have Olivia Ouko, who is the National Project Coordinator at the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And to my immediate left, we have Mr. Samuel Monzia, who is the Assistant Director in charge of Accreditation Services at the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Authority. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
And as always, you can be part of this discussion. Feel free to talk to us. Our SMS line is 20154. Leave a name and location. You could also get onto Twitter. The hashtag to use is hashtag Good Morning Kenya. Tag me as well. My handle is Jane Wambui, and our official station handle at KBC Television is the handle across all social media platforms. So we just want to quickly understand what this National Youth Week has been all about for the 2 days that it has been ongoing, and of course what is expected in the remaining days. But first, let me start with you, Samuel. When it comes to the uptake of these vocational courses, where do we stand in regards to the uptake among the youth?
Yeah, the government has tried a lot to expand access to training institutions.
Mm-hmm.
It has actually done a lot in terms of constructing new institutions. It has also done a lot in terms of creating programs which are relevant to the needs of the labor market.
Yeah.
And has actually also moved to the level of also providing access through providing subsidy of the training
courses.
Subsidy to the courses, so that now it actually removes the interns in terms of affordability of the programs. Yes.
Among the youth.
Among the youth, yes.
All right, let me come to you, Olivia. In terms of the uptake of these opportunities, where do we stand? The situation as of now, before we get to the details.
The situation as of now, since we started around 2.5 years ago, there's been a lot of interest in the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project. The 5 products, and basically the 5 products target different segments of the youth population.
Yeah.
It is looking at that opportunity out there and getting the youth to take advantage, because that opportunity could just basically change the narrative we've been having about unemployment.
Yes.
Yes.
To just try and bring the whole shift that is needed.
The whole shift that is needed.
All right. Let me also come to you, Charles. In regards to youth partnerships and the stakeholders, what's the situation as of now?
Okay, thank you. In terms of the youth partnerships and stakeholders, I would say that government has provided the policy in terms of the review of the current national youth policy that now allows the various stakeholders to come in and engage our youth. That is unlike what we've been having in the past. That policy has now been approved by the cabinet.
Yes.
And we are happy that we are going now to engage our youth more in terms of providing them with skills, in terms of providing them with various resources to enable them just to move them to the next level in terms of their socio-economic development.
All right.
Yes.
And also to you, Mr. Mudavi, in regards to the National Youth Service, it's a unit that has been criticized by so many people in regards to the number of youth that go in and how many get employment after that. But what is the situation from what you have seen, from the reality on ground, as opposed to the narrative that is out there?
Indeed.
as much as there's been that narrative, that publicity, NYS does quite a lot in terms of giving the youth a space in the sense that NYS inculcates into the youth the discipline to be patriotic, to be self-reliant. Besides, they're even given skills that can help them once they leave the service to be self-sustainable outside there now, where they can be able even to get employment, because we train this youth into various skilled occupations, which actually really are required on the market, especially within the mid-level skilled training.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So in as much as, the public is quick to criticize, things are actually happening.
Indeed, very much.
And especially these vocational training courses.
Indeed, very
skill-oriented areas.
Exactly.
All right. Now, let's talk about this National Youth Week. It has been happening since Tuesday, and some might not even understand what it's about, but maybe we could hear from you as well, Mr. Amudavi, in regards to even involving the youth in this National Youth Week. What's your take in regards to this week?
Indeed, that's a very, very great week, and of course, a very great participation even for us NYS, because mainly we are dealing with the youth. And that's why we call it, or rather the government gave it the connotation National Youth Service. The people that come into NYS, even me, I started like a youth at a very early age, and we've grown through the National Youth Service up to where now I am.
Yeah.
I'm aging. So this forum gives even our NYS youth to participate and to mingle with other youth outside there. They share ideas, they get to know the experiences, what is actually required of them as youth in their respective participation in the society and even the community at large.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
All right. Now, let me come to you, Charles. In regards to this National Youth Week, it's supposed to address those issues that heavily touch on matters concerning the youth. And let's just go through some of them, and we can start with the whole issue of empowerment in regards to involving the youth. Where do you think, what more do you think needs to be done in regards to empowering the youth and creating and positioning them rather in a place that they are empowered to move on and take this nation forward?
Okay, in terms of the empowering the youth, the most important part that has been the missing link is in terms of skills. And that's where the TVETs are coming in terms of even lowering of the fees. Then the KIOP is also coming in terms of providing youths with skills that will enable them become employable and also to employ others. And also in terms of the overall theme of even that one also aligns very well to the theme of these years, International Youth Day, which is transforming education. And locally we have transformed it into Kiswahili, Boresha Elimu, Wezesha Vijana. That is now the catch, so that we can be able to reach to as many youth as possible now in Kiswahili. That theme has now even been, has actually been disaggregated now into smaller sub-themes, that is education to promote values, education to bring about innovation and ICT, and also education to enable young people to be able to access the labor market.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because education touches on all these sectors.
Yes, yes. And maybe if you allow me, I can also be able to break down what is happening this week in terms of the National Youth Week. The National Youth Week started on Tuesday. We did launch the National Youth Week in Embu County at a function that was held at the University of Embu. Yeah. Before that, we had opened a Youth Empowerment Center located at a place called Manyata within Embu Town. There was also the chief guest, CS Education, Professor Magoha, engaged youth in a town hall discussion. So that was Tuesday. And that is what is now supposed to set the tempo for this week. Yesterday, we had yesterday we had a forum in Saburu, that is in Maralal, that aims at promoting girl and boy child access to education, because this is a very good initiative that is happening in Saburu, whereby girls have been rescued, and they have been taken to education, or they are now in schools, and that is an initiative of the current member of Parliament, Saburu West, Honorable Naisula. There is also a lady called Dr. Josephine Kulea. Those are the people who are rescuing boys and girls and bring them to school. Today, we are going to have a dialogue at the University of Nairobi, bringing about students in terms of education ICT, and also in terms of issues of values. Tomorrow there will be a dialogue forum that will be attended by that's by high-ranking officers at the UN in terms of education and access to global opportunities. That is tomorrow, Friday. Still on tomorrow, we will be launching about 19 youth empowerment centers that have been refurbished across the country. Yeah. In total, we have about 152 youth empowerment centers, and last financial year, we were able to refurbish about 21 of them. So already 2 of them have been opened. That is one at Mwatate in Taita Taveta, and the one at Manyata that was opened, was launched on Tuesday. So on Friday, now we'll be launching the other 19 across the country, the 10 regions of this country. Then still tomorrow, we have various faiths, for example, like the Muslims. They will be now engaging their followers, the youth, in terms of issues of values, religious values. And the same case will go through. We'll also have the same through the weekend. The various faiths, we have the 7th day on Saturday, then you have the rest of the Christians on Sunday, so that they'll be able to engage young people in terms of religious values, spiritual values, and the need to uphold them, so as to become upright people. Then the highlight, the climax, will be on Tuesday, on Monday, with the International Youth Day that will be held at Matuga, Kwale County.
All right.
That will be the climax. Thank you.
All right. And we'll be getting to the details of, that day. But let me come to you, Olivia. When it comes to still picking up on empowerment, are we doing enough, even as much as we say, all these opportunities are there, but are we doing enough in terms of even lowering ourselves to that level of understanding the youth? Because, if you don't understand them, you're not able to empower them in a way that makes sense to them. Are we doing enough in a sensible way to empower the youth and equip them with the skills that they need to move on?
Thank you for the question. What I would say right now is we are doing something, but there's still room for improvement. We are not at 100%. Having said that, you're looking at empowerment. Empowerment is a broad perspective. When you're empowering somebody, what are you doing? You are giving them the skills. You're giving them the information. You're giving them the knowledge.
You're giving them power.
You're giving them power, basically, so that they can make the right decisions in relation to the situations around them and issues around them. So we have started the journey. We are moving, and we are hoping to get to a point where any young person in Kenya can be able to just look at themselves and be able to move to the next level. Move to the next level by getting the necessary skills, the necessary knowledge, and even the support to move. Because sometimes you have to even hold their hands, almost practically hold their hands for them to be able to move. So it's a long journey, and we cannot say that it will end at some point, because looking at the world the way it is right now, we have new, emerging issues coming up, and as soon as they come up, you're supposed to also empower the youth along those lines. Look at ICT now. It's the inward. Basically, everybody's, digital. Everybody's going digital. All those things, and you have to always give that information, and at some point, even just give them the necessary push for the young people. So it's a journey that has started, and we can get there, putting everything in place, the resources, just everything to be able to move the youth to where we would really want to see them.
And just as you're saying, there's more that we can do. And of course, we've come a long way compared to how we were many years ago. We've come a long way, but there's always still room for more. Let me come to you, Samuel. Still on the whole issue of empowerment, especially looking at our education system. The 844 system has been criticized as being too theoretical and not as practical as it should supposed to be. Now, when it comes to the empowerment in our education, where do we stand?
The government transformed education starting from 2010, the constitution. Now that moved to it allowed us to actually move towards transforming education, and education was divided into different sectors. We had the basic sector, we have the TVET sector, and we have the university sector. Now, in the TVET sector, the government established agencies to move now education from the knowledge-based to now competency-based. Competency-based now, where you target the skills as opposed to knowledge, where you provide employable skills. And that actually, we have a body called the TVET CDAC. TVET CDAC is a Curriculum Development Assessment and Certification Council. It's actually a body established through TVET Act 2013 to develop competence-based curriculum, coordinate the assessment, and certify the assessment. The TVET authority regulates the training institution. We register institutions to ensure that they comply with the requirements for training. We also do register the trainers who are teaching. We want to ensure that the people who actually train those programs are people who are qualified. We are also registering the programs themselves. One policy of the government is that any curriculum must actually have the ICT and the entrepreneurships are compulsory. That's now government policy, because we realize now we are moving towards that transformation.
And those are becoming basic skills.
Yes. So we are actually involving industry in the development of this curriculum. Curriculum now can no longer be developed in the boardrooms. The sector skills, which is actually the industry players, they are the ones who are developing those curriculums together with the TVET CDAC.
Yeah.
Then we are taking industrial attachment seriously, because industrial attachment, that's where now the trainees now get empowered to learn the work experience. Like here, even if they're not attached here now, they learn the hands-on. They also learn on the attitude, which cannot be learned in the school.
Schools.
Yes, so they also learn it during attachment. And even now the government has moved a step further, and there's actually made also attachment, not attachment, internship is key. Internship is where now, once the students have now graduated, then they can actually be given that attachment, which now earns them the experience, which the employers will always say, where's the experience? Yes. We are also involving the industry from the curriculum development to the training itself and even assessment, so that the product, the youth that are produced by our system, they don't belong to the training institution, but they belong to both the training institutions and the industry.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, still on the issue of attachments, for us, attachment is only a 3-month course. Unit for those who have already finished education. We just do it for 3 months. Is there a way that, are they factoring issues as opposed to, as it is 3 months, I don't think it's enough time to get that industry feel that you are going to get as you've done almost 3.5 years in campus. You do 3 months out there in the practical world. Do you think that 3-month period is enough to give you the proper feel of the industry? Because most of our youths, they come out here and they're slapped with a whole new reality, because even the internship period, some of them don't even get to attend these internships. You just get your paper signed and you take it back to school. You've satisfied all the requirements in school. Is there a way that these internships can be tailored to be part of the education, especially in TVET courses, to be part of this time?
The 3 months could be short, and they are long. They are long because it actually depends on how well it is coordinated. And we are now strengthening our quality assurance system to ensure that when the students are attached to industries, they actually are attached to relevant industry. Because sometimes we realize that students are attached to the industry, but they are not given the duties of the program they actually are going through. So we are now strengthening our quality assurance to ensure that the students are actually attached at the relevant place. And now the government has brought in the aspect of internship. Internship is actually 12 months, is 1 year. And now, it now brings where the attachment did not actually bridge the gap, then now internship now comes and now completes the gap.
All right.
Yes.
Now, let me come to you, Mr. Amudavi.
Yes,
still in regards to training, do we have even enough programs that cater for the different sectors that can really involve the youth?
Indeed, very much. Like, for instance, in NYS, in the National Youth Service.
Yes, keep going.
In the National Youth Service, we have got 17 training institutions that offer courses, skilled courses at various levels. That is at artisan level, at craft certificate level, and then at the diploma level. And then thereafter, for those who would like now to upgrade further to degree level, once they discharge from the service, actually they have that opportunity of transiting now to more higher education.
Yes.
And of course, we've partnered with the TVET, as he has mentioned. We've been able now to send our students, because right now NYS is recruiting quite a very huge population hitherto. As we talk right now, we've got 12,000 recruits who are now been recruited in NYS and undergoing paramilitary basic training at NYS College, Gilgil. And then when they come out, the expectation is that these youth, they are supposed to begin something to fall on. And that's the essence of now about skilled training. Because once they leave the service, what are they supposed to do thereafter? They are supposed to sustain themselves, and that is the skill that they have acquired into NYS will help them now to contribute to the society outside there. So TVET has also been in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and even the Ministry headquarters allowed us now to attach our students to various TVET centers across the country.
Okay.
We've got quite close to around 18,000 NYS personnel in these institutions. Nearly all of them in Kenya, I would say so. He is very much in the know about that. And we really appreciate it because at the end of the day, we are able to cater for, NYS is able to cater for a very large population of the youth.
Yeah.
Because if you are doing 10,000 or 15,000, let's say, and twice in a year, hitherto we have been even doing 30 recruitment of, 30 intake. 30,000 youth. That is 15,000, 15,000. So you can see how the population is very big.
Yes.
And
so
we cannot more or less absorb them in our own training institutions per se. So that's why we are spilling over with the collaboration of TVET to have them also be trained in those institutions.
So you're finding ways in facilitating their transition to the job market,
exactly,
as opposed to just churning out graduates,
yes, yes,
and then they're left there to find their way.
Yes, yes.
Which
really.
I think is a big struggle that we're still having, especially with our
Sure.
universities.
Very true.
Every year we see thousands graduate, but the opportunities are not there. They're not guided as to about how to go about that.
Very true.
Yes. Now, still on the issue of training, when it comes to these partnerships and involvement, especially with the stakeholders, how are they even absorbing this youth in terms of giving them opportunities to get that experience that is needed? Because when you start applying for a job, you must be asked for experience. How are these stakeholders trying to absorb them and giving them that experience before they actually get employed, where they can actually make money?
Okay, thank you. It is the policy of government today to ensure that youths undergo internship. Yeah, and as all ministries, counties, departments, agencies are required to absorb as many youth as possible who are graduating from our institutions of higher learning, so that they can give them the necessary knowledge, skills, attitudes, and prepare them for the world of work. Yeah, in both public and even private. Yeah, government also encourages the private sector also to take on board these young people for internships, the paid internship, because it is the policy of government now to pay the interns. Yeah, and I'm even aware that like the Public Service Commission has floated an advert this month for youth interns. Yeah, who will be taken to the various ministries. So government is also very keen in terms of promoting youth internship, to provide them with the various skills so that they'll be able to fit in the world of work. Yeah, so that now transitions them from class now to the world of work.
Okay.
So that they now learn the necessary discipline and also how to conduct themselves at the workplace.
All right.
Yes.
And still, now let me come to you, Olivia. As we are trying to create all these opportunities, employment opportunities, not everyone can get employed immediately after you're done with your studies. There are all those who choose to go an entrepreneurial journey, but now that enabling environment, especially when it comes to funding, when it comes to funding, and especially from the government side, where do we stand?
Thank you for the question. Let me tell you something about KIOP, then you'll be able to see how all these things are fitting in. KIOP is a project, partnership between the government of Kenya and the World Bank. And why are we bringing the World Bank at this point? Why are we roping in the World Bank on issues of employment? The reality is, and I talked about the journey. We cannot afford to leave anybody behind. So you look at our education sector, they're institutionalized youth. They're either going to primary school or secondary school or in colleges or in the universities. But then the reality is there's a youth out there who is not going to school. Either he dropped out of school or he never started completely for one reason or another. And this is the youth one who does not have a program at any time of the day. The rest are quite programmed. They are having class maybe between 8 and 5. So KIOP is actually targeting that segment of the population. That youth who's out there but does not have anything that is doing. And most of the times programs just catch up with them. So how is it doing this? It's doing this through 4 sets of skills. Any youth who comes through KIOP has to go through those 4 sets of skills. But then how do they get into the project? Any youth who wants to get into the KIOP project must apply to get into the project. And each one of them gets a unique identifier number that they carry out through the project. So why do we give them this unique identifier number? This project, beyond being a social protection, because you are protecting this segment of the population that does not have anything to fall back onto, it's also a research project. We are going to look at what initiative is best for the youth. Is it giving them the grants? Is it giving them the loans? Is it the skills? So there's a lot of research going on. And we are now bringing in 3 very independent institutions to carry out monitoring and evaluation of the project. And then the second institution will carry out tracer studies of the beneficiaries of the project. And then the third institution is going to carry out impact assessment. That is where now we want to find out at the end of the duration of this project, will you have made impact with the lives of the youth? So I talked about 4 sets of skills. The 4 sets of skills, the first one is life skills. You know, the soft skills, the soft skills that maybe youth out there, well learned, but they lack just basic communication, you know, social skills. So that is one set of skills that the youth must go through when they come into KIOP. The second set of skills is core business skills, you know, how do you just even run a business? How do you ensure that this business that does not go under? How do you keep it afloat? So they are given also these skills. Then the third set of skills is entrepreneurship skills. We've been making an assumption that all youth are entrepreneurs. They are not. So that young person who wants to go into that direction, he is equipped with these skills, basically to smell a business and to take advantage of that opportunity. And then the most, and this is the key about KIOP, is we are changing the mindsets of the youth in terms of the jobs. We are looking at blue-collar jobs. We are looking at hands-on experience. We are looking at technical skills. And we are looking at the fourth set of skills are job-specific skills. So that if I'm a plumber, remember I've said it's blue collar jobs. If I'm a plumber, am I good enough? Can I be able to go out there and do a good job? Can I be able to earn more because I've done a better job? Can I be referred by somebody who have worked for to somebody else who I can go in and work for? Then the larger project has 5 products. So because of their 4 sets of skills, we're looking at 5 products. The first product of the project is training and internship. Training. And how are we doing the training? We have also looked at the apprenticeship model, because most of the times you're going to an institution and you're trained. Now, the apprenticeship is where you work with somebody who's very good in that particular skill. So unlike other institutions where students go to school in the morning, for KIOP they go to where these technical people are. That mechanic out there, that good tailor that is doing very good designs. Job
shadowing.
Yes, job shadowing. You know, that carpenter who's doing a very good job. So that is the model of KIOP. So that is the first product. And this is targeting youth in Form 4 level of education and below. And below here means even that person who didn't go to school. The street youth out there who wants to just learn the skills can be able to fit into that first product. The second product of the project is support for business creation. So how do we support this youth? By giving them small grants, just very, very small grants, startups, to a tune of around 40,000 shillings in 2 tranches. So you're given the first tranche, you try your small enterprise. If after some time the assessment is done and it's going on well, you get the second tranche. But then the second tranche is also brought about because sometimes they do start. They have not done a lot of market research. Then they realize that they didn't get it right. So the second tranche is basically to help them get back into the path. And then the third product of the project is the Innovation Challenge. Why are we talking about Innovation Challenge at this point? There is that component of this, we call them the hard to serve youth. They had to serve in terms of the environment they're in, the situations they've gone through, and most of the times you and I cannot reach out to them, but the organizations that work with them, the institutions that work with them. So this Innovation Challenge will be a competition for these organizations to compete and get seed money and continue what they've been doing to serve this segment of the youth population. I'm talking about the teenage mothers. I'm talking about the street youth. I'm talking about maybe youth with HIV. I'm talking youth, persons with disability, the institutions that have been working with them, and they've gained the trust of this segment of the youth. So that is the third product. So nobody is left out. The fourth product of the project, and very, very interesting, is Mbele na Biz. It was just launched in the month of July. And Mbele na Bees is just looking at now youth with Form 4 level of education and above.
Yes.
The first 3 Form 4 level of education and below. So Form 4 and above, that means within this competition, we are just looking at graduates with good ideas, with innovative ideas, with business plans, which they'll now compete among themselves and get, of course, more funding than the grants. The grant was 40,000 shillings. For the Mbele na Bees is between 900,000 to 3.6 million. And you're targeting 750 enterprises. So we're looking at, the catch here is that enterprise that either you are expanding or you are starting should be able to employ other youth.
And how are you involving, especially the county government? Because, you know, the county government is more in touch with the realities of the youth on ground. How are you involving them?
For KIOP, in fact, the county government is a key stakeholder. Within the National Steering Committee of the project, we have the chairman of the Council of Governors who sits in the steering committee. And so he's able to share with the other 47 governors what's going on. And our entry point, every time we go into any county, we must make a point of meeting the governors in those countries, and of course the CEC is in charge of the youth, so that we share ideas and see how best we can be able to roll out the project. And then the last one, and this is the most interesting, is the last product is the labor market information. This has been lacking for quite some time, and we are looking at youth who are tech savvy, who want to take their initiatives in their own hands, and at the touch of a button, once this system is fully developed, they can be able to log in and can be able to just look for where the jobs are and what it requires them to be able to fit into those jobs.
All right. Now, that just brings me to you, Samuel, in regards to involving the county government and the TVET courses, and especially looking at literacy levels, because that also poses a very big challenge among the youth. Literacy levels and getting access to this information. How is the TVET authority involving the county government trying to reach out to those youth who may have not gone through basic primary or secondary education, but can get those skills to be able to fend for themselves?
Yeah, one of the transformations that we said in the education sector is that we have the institution we used to call them youth polytechnics. Now they have been rebranded, they are now called vocational training centers. Vocational training centers are institutions which now offer skills at the lower level. And those vocational training centers are now developed in terms of infrastructure, in terms of equipping, and in terms of the human capital. It is the county government which does that. As a TVET authority, we regulate, we go there, we inspect them, we see whether they meet the requirements for training, and we actually license them if they qualify. We also do license their trainers to ensure that, again, their trainers are also up to the standard.
Yeah.
We also, in our authority, we also do have an outreach service where we also reach out to the counties.
Yes.
We actually reach out to the counties, we share with them, we actually ask them the issues that they have. We actually, at least we make them aware of what they are supposed to do in terms of training and in terms of empowering the youth. Again, this institution you are saying, the second level, the technical and professional colleges, they are also found in constituencies, and those constituencies are also found in the counties. Now, if you look at how are those institutions managed? One of the person who is supposed to now appoint or nominate the people to be appointed the board of governors of those institutions is actually the representative of the governor. So that makes them to be in touch with the institutions, the reality institutions. Yes.
All right. Okay. I get you. Mana, let me come to you, Mr. Amudavi, still in regards to empowering the youth, and that brings me to the whole level of, now the other side of the youth, in terms of them taking up these opportunities, because as much as, we are the government, these training institutions, all these relevant stakeholders are presenting these opportunities, are the youth presenting themselves to take up these opportunities?
Thank you. It's a very good question. Actually, they do. They do very much, because, for instance, NYS is a training ground and a preparation of this youth for future sustenance. And they're actually always very much inquisitive to get to know, is there any opportunity that has come about? We have a section at the headquarters that handles matters to do with the employment searching. And you realize that there are a lot of application that normally comes in, even for those NYS personnel who have been trained and have left the service, they always leave their CVs behind. And there's always a contact person to keep on asking, is there an opportunity that has come about? Is there any prospective employer would wish to have a particular person trained in a particular skill? So they're very much inquisitive on that and realize that employment is really a very a hindrance, I would say so, in terms of the little opportunities available. So quite a very large number of youth are lacking employment, and the space is very, very small. So there's a lot of competition in that. And it's also, I would like to take this opportunity to appeal even to prospective employers. NYS has already trained personnel who can serve them very well in various fields. Yes, not necessarily in the discipline services alone. Okay, they normally do and recruit into NYS, but then even the government at large has been doing the same thing. Even the private sector, we call upon them that they are quite trained personnel in NYS in the mid-level who can serve them very, very well. And we appeal to them that they give us this opportunity, because in a way we'll be contributing to giving the youth an opportunity to serve the country in terms of being able to cater for themselves and even contributing largely to the very organization that can offer them unemployment. Yes.
And the growth of the nation
and
as
the
a
growth
whole,
of the nation as well.
You know,
indeed.
Especially the private sector, you know, just because they're from the National Youth Service, it doesn't mean that the government has to absorb all of them.
No,
you can also go a long way in the private sector and just trying to build the nation as a whole.
Yes,
and let me come to you, Charles. Still the same question in regards to the youth presenting themselves and taking up these opportunities. Are they doing enough, or there's room for more?
Okay, I would say that our young people are vibrant. They like exploring in terms of knowing what is new that is coming. And also on our part, we are also doing what is required of us in terms of making them aware of new things that are coming. Like maybe if you can allow me to say that our policy now going forward is that we have a total of 152 youth empowerment centers, as I said earlier on. And this, the Kenya Vision 2030 had envisioned that there was to be at least one youth empowerment center per constituency. Yeah, we were only able to do 152 then. That time there was 210 constituencies. Now there is, we have 290 constituencies. We have about a shortage of about 138. But what we are now doing for now is to ensure that all the existing youth empowerment centers have been refurbished. So far, you have done 21. And the reason why we're refurbishing them is to make them hubs of youth information, where youth can be able to get information on various, on affirmative actions or what you're doing, issues to do with AGPO, so that they will be the areas where youth can come. And first of all, you're also providing them with free Wi-Fi in all those, that is youth empowerment centers, so as to be able to bring as many youth as possible. Also in the process, as they access free Wi-Fi, they can also be able to do online work. So basically going forward, that all youth-based activities, focused activities in this country will be done around the youth empowerment centers. So it's just to say that we are doing as much as possible to ensure that our youth access information, knowledge. Yes.
And these are constituency innovation hubs, for those who might not understand what we're talking about. Now, still coming to you, Olivia, on the whole issue of the youth taking up these opportunities and being at the forefront in terms of even showing the government and the relevant stakeholders the direction to go with their ideas, because we're living in a very technological age. The youth are very techy in terms of being at the forefront and sort of creating the direction in which they need guidance. Are they doing enough? Are we doing enough?
We are trying. We are trying because KIOP has been there for the last 2.5 years. We are due for midterm review in October this year to find out if we are on the right track. And we are now, KIOP is targeting 280,000 direct beneficiaries. And of course the indirect beneficiaries, we are not even talking about the numbers. If I give the example of the Mbele na Biz, 750 enterprises. And each enterprise should be able to create employment for other youth. So having said this, how do we get to tell the youth about the project? At the beginning of every cycle, we have a schedule where we get the youth to apply. And so we use the mainstream media. We use social media just to tell them to apply. And if I could give the fourth, like we are now at the fourth cycle, we've just closed the application stage. We are targeting 25,000 youth, and we received over 60,000 applications for young people. The moment you receive those applications, of course, we have to ensure that they are within, they meet the criteria, they're within the age bracket.
And what's that age bracket?
The age bracket for KIOP is between 18 and 29.
18 and 29.
And for the training, but for Mbele na Biz up to 35.
Okay.
Yeah, because we are looking at people who've gone through institutions, possibly a university graduate, so it's been expanded for them to be able to get the best ideas to fund in terms of the competition. So we reach out to the youth, just going by the numbers of the youth who apply to come into KIOP and the inquiries that they make. We are looking at a situation where we are actually reaching out to them. The only challenge is we cannot absorb all of them. So looking forward to the end of the project, what can we do? We are doing a lot of research. There'll be a lot of data, there'll be a lot of reports that will be generated about this project. So that we now look at how best can we empower the youth? How best can we reach out to them? What is working for them? And KIOP is in a situation or in a position where it can be able to give that direction. But there's been a lot of interest. In fact, it's only that we cannot absorb all of them. Yes.
All right. Now let's just look at the International Youth Day. The theme for this year is transforming education. The theme for last year was creating safe spaces for the youth, which this transforming education is well in line with that last year's theme. Now, just looking at this theme for this year, transforming education, how is the TVET authority just trying to adjust and make this transformation an actual reality?
Thank you. One thing that we are doing is we are now approving programs which are bringing a shift from the knowledge base to skills based, because we realized that the problem that we had before is that we actually were more of the knowledge. We want to get the A without the skills, and that's what we are now focusing on, approving programs which actually are skills based. Secondly, we are trying to encourage collaboration with the training institution and the industry, so that now during the training, I would say is actually we have a system where they do, where now you can train in the training institution, and you have some days your students go to the industry. That kind of training where now the students learn at the same time they also, we have some institutions you have done that. We have approved around 21 institutions where they are now piloting a program where the first condition, number one, you had to have an MOU with an industry, so that your student will actually be in the institution some days a week, another institution in the industry. That way you ensure that you actually produce students who actually have the right skills. We actually are also saying the problem that we have had before is we were training for employment, but we are now saying this time we want to move from training for employment to provide the youth the employable skills, because when you provide them with employable skills, they are going to develop their innovations, and those innovations, if they are now supported, then they are able actually to become employers themselves. So that's the direction in which the TVET authority is taking. In terms of relevance, we actually did say, one, relevance happens in the curriculum. We said the curriculum, which will actually be competence-based, will actually involve the industry, will actually be done by the industry. With the training, we said the training again, we have actually taken to remove the training, where that we want the institution to train alone. But you are saying now, we want that collaboration between the training institution and the industry in that training, in terms of the industry players can be the resource persons in the training institutions. During the assessment, they are also part of the assessment of the industry. Then again, we are now saying we are now going to capacity build our trainers. Remember, the trainers in our technical institution were now moved from the Teacher Service Commission to the Public Service Commission. And the purpose of that was that we now want to train them, so that we now transform them from training for knowledge-based to start training for the competency-based training.
And I think that will be a more effective way of doing things, working with the industry players along the journey, not just at the end of the journey. All right, and let me come to you now, Charles, still in regards to what he's saying about, involving the industry and the stakeholders and even the parents themselves. What more do you feel they need to do, especially being in line with this year's theme, transforming education? Because just as the curriculum, the competency-based curriculum is, it involves even the parents. Now, how can we all transform and be part of this journey of transforming the education, looking at the stakeholders?
Okay, thank you. In terms of the broad look at in terms of the parents, in terms of the industry, I think it is important that all of us are in tandem, and also to ensure that our youths know exactly what they are getting into. Those days when parents would dictate to their youth, to their sons and daughters, exactly what they need to become, there are new things that have come. There are what we call short-term engagements, and our youth are going towards that direction.
Yeah.
In terms of contractual arrangements, our parents trained us for permanent jobs, but
and specific ones for that matter.
Specific, yeah. And today we have youths who are going into all manner of skills, and for example, like artists. There are parents who could not approve of the young people becoming artists.
The creative industry.
Yeah, we have schools that have come up to train youth for the creative industry, and I think as a country that should be the way to go, because those are the new things that have come, emerging issues, and we have to embrace them in terms of the youth. Yes.
All right. Same question to you, Mr. Amudabi, in terms of being in line with this year's theme, transforming education, not just for this year, but moving forward. Because just looking at the UN, the SDGs, education touches on every other bit that we know. Once we take care of education, it'll spill over to the other goals. Now, in regards of the NYS and being in line with transforming the way we are looking at education, what is being done to that end?
True, that's very, very important and very critical. Because you're looking at how can this youth sustain himself or herself once he leaves the service. And given that the employment space is very, very limited, so for them to engage into self-employment is the key, is the way forward. And this competence-based training will serve them very, very well, because they can go even into entrepreneurship outside there. And equally, they can even be employers of other youth. Yeah. Once they set up a base and they start a small business or start a small-scale juakali sort of occupation. You see, progressively they'll grow, and when they grow, they may require another youth again to assist them. And you see, in NYS we inculcate the culture of ourselves. Ourselves means you like one another, you love one another, in the sense that if there is an opportunity, and NYS, if you see most of our personnel, if they look for a small opportunity and it is there, they don't shy off from telling another colleague
others along.
Here there is something. And that's why they network very well. So this kind of shift is very, very important to us. And even yesterday we had a very lengthy meeting on the same, because we are trying to look at how do we now realign our training in terms of the changing shift of how can we equip or empower our youth once they leave the service. Because employment has become a very, very big problem outside there. And if we encourage them now to start this small occupation on their own, juakali, that's the way to go.
It will go a long way in changing the narrative 10 years to come.
Very true.
All right.
Very true. And just to add on that, because that one can be applicable anywhere.
That's the thing.
Yeah, not necessarily looking at the upper area in Nairobi. You know, the concentration model is in Nairobi, these big towns. But you can even do well in those.
In the rural setup,
And with the county theme that has come about, you know, county government have done also very well. Because they have opened up opportunities for business, opportunities for even engagements locally. So you can do it anywhere. You can do it in town, you can do it even at home. And that's the emphasis we normally give to our youth. Right from the training college in Gilgil, in the field stations, and when they leave now, when they exit the service.
All right.
Yes.
Still coming to your leave and still in the same breath about being in line with this theme of transforming education, and just as Sama was saying, from moving from a knowledge-based sort of thinking to a more skill-based way of thinking. How is KEOP just readjusting and shifting to be in line with this theme, moving forward, not just for the near future, but in terms of longevity?
You know, in line with the theme, transforming education, just looking at education, is it meeting the goals? Are we meeting the goals that we have set out to get in terms of educating our young people? And then can this education also transform the young person in terms of mindsets, in terms of the attitudes, in terms of the values? So the KEOP is the acronym for the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project. I talked about the four skill sets. And we are looking at the end of it all, because this is a project, it has very, the timelines, 5 years, from 2016 to 2021. At the end of 2021, what will you have gained out there? Will you have youth now who are able to embrace the blue collar jobs? Will they be interested in just getting their hands dirty to get to where they want to get to? Because that has been the challenge. You know,
the mindset towards
skills and jobs. Embracing this. And then when you now add life skills, how do I relate? We are enhancing their employability, especially the ones who are going through training and internship. How do they present themselves out to that employer who's interested to engage them, even for that company that just wants a plumber? Because you could be good as a plumber, but then are you going to remain there? So all these things are being put together. I'm just looking at the youth. It's a wholesome way of looking at education, so that education can basically change the community, can change the mindset, and then the education itself, it's not static. We are changing. We are looking at the situations on the ground, and we need to change. And if you look at what is happening with TVET education, looking at what is happening, you know, there's so much that is going out there. I think we're in the right direction. We're in the right direction, because if you look at the statistics right now, they're saying the reason why we have unemployment is because 92% of the youth out there do not have skills that are relevant to the job market. Yes. So they've gone to school, but if they don't have the skills, they're going nowhere.
Beats the purpose.
So, so there are all these initiatives, there are all these reforms that are taking place. It's basically looking at education and seeing if it can add value to the Kenyan youth, to the Kenyan child, and can add value to the development of this country. Because if you look at the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, we want to develop as a country.
Yes. Yeah. No one is left behind.
No one is left behind.
All right. Now, as we bring the conversation to a close, I'll start with you, Samuel. In terms of encouraging the youth to be part of this National Youth Week, it has been happening from the 6th up until the 11th, which will be on Sunday. Why should they be part of this journey and just trying to expose themselves to this opportunity that are being presented during this week?
Yeah, I actually want to tell the youth that they should actually focus more on the employable skills. The skills which actually make them to become innovative, and the skills which actually make them to be able to now actualize their innovations. And that's the only way that they will actually be able to move forward. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Mudavi,
yes, please.
Your word to our youth out there in regards to being part of this National Youth Week and to actively, not just be part of it, but be part of it actively.
Correct. This is a very, very, very important forum for the youth, and I appeal to them to come up, because by actually interacting with these other youth from various places and directions, they are able to share ideas, they are able to learn more, and they are able to appreciate now the paradigm shift that has come about in terms of competence-based skills, which the kind of skills are likely to help them, of course, to acquire employment, either formal on their own, or get an opportunity in an industry or in any opening where employment may come about.
All right.
So the forum is very, very crucial, and I appeal to them to come about, at least to appreciate and to get to know what is going about on matters to do with the youth.
All right.
Yes.
Coming to you, Charles, the importance of this National Youth to the youth, and all the different stakeholders, the private sector, the media fraternity, entrepreneurs, the entire spectrum.
Okay, thank you. In terms of the importance of this National Youth Week that will culminate in the International Youth Day, government will be able to articulate what it is doing for the youth in terms, for example, of KIOP. What we are doing in terms of KIOP, what also we are doing in terms of promotion of technical training for the youth. Also what we are doing to the youth in terms of providing them with affirmative action funds. In this space, maybe I can talk about like the Youth Enterprise and Development Fund that has given billions for youth entrepreneurs. We have the WEZO Fund that also targets the youth section or segment. We have the Women Enterprise Fund. We have the National Government Affirmative Action Fund. All those are action or rather affirmative action funds that are geared towards the youth segment or the space of this country. Also in terms of that youth will also be able to know about what government is also doing in terms of even AGPO, access to government procurement opportunities, whereby in the last like 6 or so years, about 150 billion shillings has gone to the youth. youth, women, and persons with disability in terms of government procurement opportunities.
Okay.
Yes, across board in
right.
government ministries, counties, departments, and agencies.
All right.
Yes.
All
so
right.
this is a platform where youth will come to know exactly what government is doing, and they'll learn that government has done a lot, even in terms of the youth empowerment centers that we are actually operationalizing across the country.
Okay.
Thank you.
Come and meet these enablers firsthand. As we bring the conversation to a close, your parting remarks to the youth and the entire public as a whole.
My parting remarks to the youth, looking at the National Youth Week and the International Youth Day, the first thing is we are now looking at just celebrating the youth. It's basically a celebration because the youth are now being given a platform to showcase what they've been able to do, taking stock of almost the last 10 years when we've been having the National Youth Week annually for the last 10 years. So just celebrating what the youth have been able to do in this country. And that's why the activities are running for a whole week. And during these activities, they're also showcasing what they can be able to do. We're also having dialogue, like today at the University of Nairobi, there's going to be a discussion. The young people are going to discuss on issues that affect them. So there's so much. And then from the government, it's a time to just halt and
take a step back,
recollect, and take stock of what has happened. We're just looking at, have we done it right? Are we getting there? What are the challenges? What are the issues that are still arising? So we're just looking at celebrating the young people. But then on this other side, it's just to take stock of what has been taking place and see how best we can improve moving forward. So this is a day, this is basically a week for the youth, and of course the International Day for the youth. And so it is their day. It is their week. And so we expect that the youth will be able to participate and reach out to us. Let's have this dialogue. Let us discuss and see how best to move forward.
All right. And just as I said, if you are a youth, come out and air your problems, what you need help with. We cannot be helped if you do not, if the source doesn't understand where the challenge is. So be part of this week, show up and air your problems, meet all these relevant stakeholders, the government, the representatives, and you'll be better positioned to be able to fend for yourself and move forward, having quality and have a quality form of life. Remember, we've been talking about the National Youth Week, which has been happening since the 6th. That is this past Tuesday, and it will be going up until the 11th, culminating to the International Youth Day, which will be on the 12th of August. And the theme from this year, is transforming education, which has been translated to Elimu Bora, Boresha Elimu, Wezesha Vijana. Kenyanizing it and just trying to move and grab it and run with opportunity. This will be the 19th annual International Youth Day. Remember, just looking at a bit of the history in regards to the International Youth Day, it was an idea that was proposed in 98, was agreed upon in 99, and came into effect in the year 2000. And since then, it has been celebrated to just try and look at the issues that are affecting the youth on a very personal and very in touch basis. We have been speaking with 3 fantastic guests. Let me just remind you who they are. To the extreme left, we have Mr. Enoch Amudavi, who is the Deputy Director General at the National Youth Service. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Next
to him, we have Charles Murede Mwaneki, who is the Deputy Director in charge of Youth Partnerships and Stakeholder Engagement. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next to him, we have Olivia Ouko, who is the National Project Coordinator at the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project. Karibu sana. Thank you, rather, for being with us.
Thank you.
And to my immediate left, we have Mr. Samuel Monzia, who is the Assistant Director of Accreditation Services at the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Authority. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. Now, Good Morning Kenya does continue. We want to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. We have more fantastic interviews coming. Keep talking to us. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya. My handle is Jane Wambui. SMS line 20154. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you after the break.